Welcome to All Elite Spotlight and our AEW TBS title history part 1 in an ongoing series that will be centered around the entirety of the AEW TBS Championship. So to start, we'll look at the title that was introduced back in 2022. But before it became the fighting title that we know it as, before it became global, it belonged to one woman. Jade Cargill didn't just win the inaugural TBS Championship, she built it through dominance. She had 24 successful title defenses in 508 days. One undefeated streak that defined an era in AEW. To begin, we go to the tournament that began in October of 2021. This tournament included the likes of Ruby Soho, Penelope Ford, Hikaru Shida, Jamie Hayter, Thunder Rosa, and Nyla Rose, to name a few. Now, in her path to the championship, she had to defeat in the quarterfinals Red Velvet, and then in the semifinals, she went on to defeat future AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa. Now, on January 5th of 2022, on the first ever AEW Dynamite on TBS, Jade defeated Ruby Soho in the finals of the TBS Championship tournament. That moment wasn't just a title win, it was the beginning of something AEW had never seen before, an undefeated monster in the women's division. Now, personally, my thoughts and my hope was that Ruby Soho would be the inaugural champion after coming over from the Fed. But it was not to be. Jade Cargill cemented her spot in AEW history as the inaugural AEW TBS champion. Now, we'll take a look at her early defenses. She went against the likes of Anna Jay, The Bunny, and probably her stiffest competition in the beginning, Ty Conti. Now, those weren't just wins. Those were more along the lines of building blocks to begin what needed to be her legacy in AEW and the legacy of the TBS Championship. So while maybe not the most notable names on that list of matches and victories, there were names that were necessary and matches and defenses that all added to the allure and the legacy of the TBS Championship in its earliest moments. From then, we move to what I would recognize as probably her toughest opponent to date, and that took place at All Out 2022 when she faced Athena. Now, this was the first time that the streak actually felt threatened. Here we had a true competitor in Athena, someone who was known the world over and more than capable of handing Jade Cargill her first loss in AEW and in her wrestling career as a whole. So, was this to be the night? The first time that fans were actually able to question if there was going to be an actual ending to this reign and this streak. So, Jade, decked out in green paint and dressed as the She-Hulk, was able to overcome this challenger. While it was definitely a test for Jade Cargill, she did ultimately prevail and extended her undefeated streak and her TBS title reign. So, towards the middle of her reign, she continued to gather momentum, facing at Full Gear Nyla Rose, another future AEW Women's World Champion, the second World Champion, as a matter of fact. She also faced Willow Nightingale, turned back challenges from Taya Valkyrie, and there were also multiple title defenses at the Battle of the Belts shows that AEW would promote throughout the year. So this just added to Jade Cargill's momentum and helped to cement once again the legacy that she was creating as an unstoppable force in the world of wrestling. By this point, the title was no longer seen as secondary, and there was prestige that was actually being placed upon it. So, by the numbers, again, Jade Cargill with 24 defenses, 508 total days as champion, and an undefeated streak throughout the entirety of it. But here's the debate. Was Jade actually dominant, or was she really protected? Personally, I would say that it was a bit of both. There's no denying that Jade Cargill is a dominant force in wrestling. She's not just a physique or a presence. She can, in the ring, do what needs to be done and show off the strength that makes her special. Now, is she a technician or a wizard in the ring? No, but that's not who she's meant to be. And not everyone can be that. But what she was an attraction when AEW definitely needed it and was able to profit and benefit from it. So I definitely think that she was dominant and more than earned her keep and did everything that one could possibly hope that one could do as a TBS champion, especially for an inaugural champion for a new title. However, she was protected and did face the likes of Kiera Hogan, Red Velvet at a time when she was not at her heights that she is now, which you could argue still isn't in the category of like a Statlander or a Nightingale and a few others along the lines. But again, sure, there might have been some protection there, but she was also learning on the go. And I would say that she did a great job. And like I said, dominant and protected. So we go from the middle of the reign to the unexpected, or perhaps not so unexpected due to the controversy and rumors around that time, the fall of Jade Cargill. So at Double or Nothing 2023, Kris Statlander made her return, and she would be the challenger for Jade Cargill. And one of the biggest surprise moments in AEW Women's history, the streak came to an end. Jade, and what I would rate as Jade Cargill's best match, Kris Statlander was able to do what was then unthinkable and ended the streak and became the second ever TBS champion. It was a great matchup, and not shockingly to me, because Kris Statlander was involved, the match really lived up to the hype, and it was really a great capping moment on the legacy of that first title run. So I would tip my hat to Jade Cargill. She helped make that title mean something and be prestigious. So as far as I'm concerned, Jade built the TBS Championship through not just her dominance, but also the aura that she brought. Her ring entrance, like one of the best ring entrances in AEW history. And there's just no denying what she was able to do for that title and the company as a whole. But what happens when the champion defends the title even more? So that's something we'll delve into in part 2 as we see a change in trajectory for how the TBS title was treated, defended, and overall just displayed on AEW television. So keep an eye out for part 2, which will be dropping by next week. That would be my hope in the schedule. I hope you all enjoyed this video and look forward to seeing the completion of it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like, share, all of that. I do appreciate those that have already subscribed. And please leave your comments. I would love to speak to each and every one of you about how you feel about Jade Cargill's run as TBS champion. But other than that, thank you again for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will be talking to you soon.